I have something to confess. Everything back here, it's all a green screen. None of it's real. Hey there, kids, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, and that you are having a great day. And yeah, no clap today. What? What's that? You want to clap? I don't really feel like it. All right, just for you. In today's video, we are diving back into the world of Frankonomics. That's right, we're here for another terminology lesson. In today's video, we are asking and then hopefully answering the question, what is a loss leader? And that's a term you don't really hear a whole lot, especially in the world of collectibles, collectible finance, etc. But it is something that does have quite a bit of importance to the history of both trading cards and comics, and is still a very present phenomenon in the world of business. In fact, I could think of dozens of examples of loss leaders, but I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Before we get off track and give examples, let's talk about the definition itself. You see, a loss leader is any item or service sold at a loss. I know, crazy stuff. Wonderful wordplay right there. But yeah, a loss leader is something sold at a loss in an attempt to get people just through the door of your business so that they might buy other things while they're there, grabbing the flashy, cheap item that you are offering. A great example, I think, when it comes to loss leaders is a pretty famous one, the Costco hot dog. Costco hot dogs have been priced at $1.50 for decades, it feels like. And everybody knows that the Costco hot dog is immortal as $1.50. And while you don't tend to think about it like that, that item does bring attention to Costco, and for some people, it could be why they go to Costco stores in the first place. Yeah, they have to pay a membership and all that jazz, but $1.50 for a nice hot dog. And hey, while you're at Costco getting your hot dog, might as well buy some other stuff, right? Cool. Now that we understand what the terminology is, let's examine the concept itself as it pertains to collectibles. You see, once upon a time, there were no card stores. There was no local game store. Shocking, I know. Once upon a time, there were no comic stores. Super shocking, I know. Feels like these have been around forever, right? No, you see, once upon a time, I don't know why my finger's up here. Once upon a time, trading cards were not these game pieces produced by one of 30-ish companies trying to get the dominant market share and produce the craziest games known to mankind. No, they were sports cards. And before they were sports cards, they were just nice little advertisements, little pieces of art included in cigarette packs. Yes, it's true. Little cigarette packs used to hold pieces of art, whether it be of sports players or of some generic trade card advertisement. And they were included in packs of cigarettes as early as the 1900s. And this was noteworthy because while obviously little Timmy and Johnny and Kim, they weren't going to the grocery store looking to buy the cigarettes, they would notice that cigarettes came with little cool collectible cards. And they would, of course, pester their dad to go, "Daddy, I want you to buy a cigarette pack." "Well, why would I do that, son?" "So that I can get the trading card." "Well, okay, son, I was going to buy cigarettes anyway, but I'll grab the brand you want." That's probably not exactly how it went, but you get the picture. These were items that were sold or packaged with. They were packaged with cigarettes in an attempt to get kids to pester their families to buy cigarettes. And that little that concept of having kids pester their families, that evolved slowly over time. It then became, while we can't sell cigarettes to kids, but we could sell bubble gum. You sell bubble gum to kids, and there's a little sports card inside that makes them want to buy our bubble gum. So boom, you have kids in the store buying bubble gum, and while they're buying that bubble gum, why not buy something else like a candy bar or a bottle of soda, right? Fast forward a few more decades, and I feel like it's the 50s when comics really started becoming an industry. And early comics, they were not cheap in comparison to other items at the time, but they were still fairly cheap. I think the earliest comics were like, what, 10 cents? And yeah, there were no comic stores. There were no dedicated comic stores. Instead, comics were a cheaper, flashy, colorful, interesting item that would get kids to drag their parents into the grocery store. They'd want to buy the comics, and, you know, while you're there getting your kid the comic, you might as well buy your bread and milk, right? It's an interesting thing. Now, why does this matter? Why am I talking about this? Well, you see, fast forward just a few more years, and suddenly trading cards have gone from these little extras included in cigarette and chewing gum products to their own collectible industry. These little bonus items that were once upon a time just the throwaway extras included in cigarette packs, have become these highly sought after collectibles from a combination of rarity, nostalgia, historic relevance, etc. Whatever have you. Same thing happened to a lot of these early comics. We suddenly have, in the 70s, the comic book industry exploding in a very significant way. The dawn of the comic book store starts around the 1970s. And you have these dedicated shops that are not only showcasing the newest and coolest comics of DC, Marvel, or whatever have you, but also people are starting to feel nostalgic towards the old comics that they got at the grocery store comic spinny thingy. I don't know what it's called. Someone tell me what that thing is called, because I do not remember. A rack? It's like a comic rack? A spinny rack? Whatever the comics used to come on. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? You know, these have gone from items that were sold at a loss just to get families into the store to, you know, maybe buy something else. These have gone from a loss leader into their own business, their own, basically their own collectibles finance category. Because, yeah, there's people who will spend and park a lot of money, especially on older items of these types. And it goes to show that something that once upon a time was sold at a loss just to give that little extra push to get people in the door can evolve in its own way into a multi-billion-dollar industry if the stars align in just the right way. It's actually honestly kind of crazy. And there's other examples, you know. Believe it or not, video game consoles are technically loss leaders. I think it was Xbox 360 was the one I heard about, where they cost quite a bit more to produce an Xbox 360 than they sold them for. I might be misquoting that, but it's something I remember hearing a long time ago. And it's just a really neat thing to think about that. Yeah, when you're trying to get your business afloat, when you're trying to be successful, you want to kind of squeeze your inventory for as much as you can get, right? You want to try to maximize your gains, but sometimes there's a benefit in taking a loss on some items to facilitate the sale of others. This is a tactic that's employed frequently by people on places like eBay or TCG Player when they are standalone hobby stores. You know, they will sell some cards or even some sealed product at potentially even a loss, just because they know it'll get eyes on their business. Because, hey, while you might be selling this one box at a loss, it might facilitate the sale of other boxes at a much more profitable rate. Potentially. It's something to keep in mind, and it's something that I know that a lot of people think about when it comes to doing their own business. But honestly, at the end of the day, this was just another terminology lesson for you all, another little episode of Frankonomics. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please like, please share, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.